The message arrived without warning. No greeting, no explanation, no delay. It appeared on every human screen at the same moment, from deep space stations to quiet offices on Earth. You have been summoned. One human, come alone. The location that followed made every expert freeze in fear. The Aurelian throne world, the home of the alien queen. Across human space, people stopped breathing. Some prayed, some cursed, some simply stared at the words as if refusing to believe them would change the truth. Everyone knew what a summons from the alien queen meant. No species had ever refused. No species had ever returned. Her empire was older than most stars humanity had ever mapped. She ruled not with armies alone, but with reputation. Entire civilizations changed their laws just to avoid her attention. When she spoke, galaxies listened. When she grew angry, history ended. And the message was clear. She was furious. On a quiet orbital station far from Earth, a man named Elias Ward read the message 3 times before his hands started shaking. "Not me," he whispered to the empty room. "It can't be me." Elias was not a general. He was not a hero. He was not even important by human standards. He was a systems engineer who had once helped repair a damaged alien relay using human emergency code. That was it. No medals, no speeches, just a report buried in old archives. But the message had used his name, specifically. Governments argued for only 6 minutes before agreeing. There was no debate, no vote. If the queen wanted one human, she would get one human. Elias was told the truth without comfort. "If you don't go," the official said quietly, "she may come to us instead." That was enough. The journey to the throne world took weeks. Elias spent most of it alone, sitting in silence, watching stars slide past the viewport. No guards accompanied him. No weapons were allowed. The ship itself was barely more than a transport shell provided by the Aurelians, cold and smooth, with no visible controls. It moved when it decided to move. Elias slept badly. Every dream ended the same way. Standing before a massive shadow, hearing a voice like thunder, then nothing. When the throne world finally appeared, Elias understood why no one ever came back. The planet was enormous, wrapped in golden light and black structures that reached into space like claws. Rings of energy circled it slowly, each one filled with moving symbols and ships the size of cities. The sky itself seemed alive, shifting colors as if reacting to his presence. As the ship descended, Elias felt very small. He was escorted through halls taller than mountains, where the walls glowed with images of wars older than humanity's written history. Alien beings watched him from balconies and shadows. None spoke, none moved. They did not need to. At the center of it all was the throne chamber. The doors opened without sound. Elias stepped inside and almost fell to his knees. The chamber was vast beyond reason. The floor stretched so far he could not see its end, polished like black glass. At the far center rose the throne, formed from living metal and ancient stone, pulsing slowly like a heartbeat. And upon it sat the queen. She was massive, towering even while seated. Her form was neither fully solid nor fully light. Wings folded behind her like storm clouds. Eyes burned like twin stars, fixed on Elias the moment he entered. The air itself felt heavy, pressing down on his chest. Elias forced himself to walk forward. Every step echoed. When he reached the marked position before the throne, he stopped. He could not look away from her eyes. Fear locked his muscles tight. The queen spoke. Her voice did not shout. It did not whisper. It filled the chamber. Human. The word alone felt like a judgment. Elias swallowed hard. "Why, yes, your majesty." A low sound rippled through the chamber. Not laughter, not anger, something colder. "You know why you are here," the queen said. Elias shook his head. "No, I don't, I swear." The queen leaned forward slightly and the lights across the chamber dimmed. "Your species was warned," she said. Again and again, boundaries were drawn, limits were explained. Her wings shifted and the air trembled. Yet humanity crossed them. Elias felt his stomach drop. "I don't understand," he said quickly. "If we made a mistake, we can fix it. Humans always try to fix things." The Queen's eyes narrowed. "That," she said, "is precisely the problem." A wave of pressure washed over Elias, forcing him to one knee. He gasped, hands pressed to the floor. The Queen did not move. "Your kind interferes where others withdraw," she continued. "You rebuild where others accept loss. You return where others learn fear." Elias looked up, confused through his terror. "That sounds like a good thing," he said carefully. Silence followed. Then the Queen rose from her throne. The chamber seemed to shrink around her as she stood, wings unfolding fully. Ancient power rolled outward, and Elias felt tears sting his eyes as gravity itself seemed to bend. "You call it good," she said, voice sharp now. "We call it dangerous." She stepped closer. Each movement shook the floor. Civilizations that do not know when to stop invite destruction. The galaxy has rules: human, balance, order, survival through restraint. She stopped directly before him. "And your species ignores them all." Elias' heart pounded so hard he thought it might break his ribs. "I'm just one person," he said softly. "If you're angry, punish me, not all of us." The Queen stared at him for a long moment. Then slowly something unexpected happened. The pressure lifted. Elias could breathe again. The Queen turned away and walked back toward her throne, movements thoughtful, controlled. "You misunderstand," she said. "I did not summon you to punish you." Elias froze. "You did." "No," the Queen replied. "I summoned you to understand you." She seated herself once more, resting her claws against the throne's arm. "Your species should not exist as it does," she said. "By every model, every prediction, every law we have written into the stars." Elias stood slowly, legs shaking. "Yet you are here," the Queen continued. "Broken again and again, nearly erased, always returning." Her gaze sharpened. "Tell me, human," she leaned forward. "How does a species survive extinction more times than it can count?" Elias opened his mouth. No answer came, not because he did not want to speak, but because, for the first time since entering the chamber, he realized something far more terrifying than anger. The alien Queen was not furious because she hated humanity. She was furious because she did not understand them. And for beings like her, not understanding something was the most dangerous thing of all. Elias swallowed and lifted his head, and for the first time he began to speak. Elias felt every eye in the chamber, even though he could not see most of the watchers. The shadows on the balconies were still. The air was quiet, but it was not peaceful. It was the kind of quiet that came before a storm. The Queen's gaze did not blink. It did not soften. It simply waited. "How does a species survive extinction more times than it can count?" she asked again, slow and heavy, as if each word had weight. Elias' throat was dry. His mouth opened, then closed. His mind reached for the safest answer, the simplest answer, something polite that would not get him destroyed. But the truth was not polite. He forced himself to breathe in, then out. "We don't survive because we are strong," he said carefully. "Not like you." The Queen's eyes narrowed a little, like a blade focusing on a point. "Continue." Elias nodded once, even though his neck felt stiff. He tried to keep his voice steady. "We survive because we expect to fall," he said. A low ripple moved through the silent audience like a distant wind. Elias could not tell if it was surprise, mockery, or interest. The Queen did not react. "You expect to fall," she repeated, as if tasting the idea. "That makes no sense." "It does to humans," Elias said. He swallowed again. "We don't build for perfect days. We build for bad days. We plan for things to break. We assume something will go wrong." The Queen leaned back slightly. Her wings folded tighter, like she was pulling her power inward to study him instead of crush him. "Other species plan to avoid failure," she said. "They choose safety. They choose order. They design their world so that disaster is impossible." Elias almost laughed, but he stopped himself. He knew laughter here could sound like disrespect. That's the difference, he said. Humans don't believe disaster is impossible. The queen stared. Elias felt like a small animal trying to explain fire to a star. He tried anyway. On Earth, he said, we had storms that destroyed cities, earthquakes, diseases, crop failures, wars, mistakes. People made bad choices. Nature did not care. We learned early that we can't control everything, so we learned to recover. The queen's voice cut through the space like cold metal. You speak as if suffering was a teacher. Elias hesitated. He did not want to sound proud of pain. That felt wrong. It's not something we want, he said quickly. Humans don't want suffering, we don't love it, we just don't stop living because it happens. The queen's eyes brightened slightly, not in warmth but in focus. Many species stop, she said. When the pattern breaks, they break. When the world becomes unfamiliar, they collapse. Elias nodded slowly. Humans panic too, he admitted. We scream, we fight, we argue, we make it messy. He paused, searching for the right words. But then someone fixes something. Someone shares food. Someone pulls another person out of wreckage. Someone makes a joke so people can breathe again. We keep going, even if we're scared. The queen's claws tightened on the throne's arm, leaving faint marks in the living metal. You are telling me your species survives because you are used to fear. Elias thought about his own life, about the station alarms he had heard, the emergency drills, the stories of early space disasters, the way humans joked about danger to make it smaller. Yes, he said quietly, we're used to it. For a moment the queen said nothing. The chamber felt even larger, as if the silence had space inside it. Then the queen spoke, and her words did not sound like anger. They sounded like something else. Your species is a riddle. Elias' stomach turned. I didn't mean to insult you, he said fast. Or your empire. If we crossed a line, tell us. We can. Stop, the queen said, and Elias froze. She raised one claw slightly, and the room obeyed. The watchers did not move. The air did not shift. Even Elias' breath felt careful. You assume you are here because you have done wrong, she said. That assumption is logical, but it is incomplete. Elias stared at her. What does that mean? He asked. The queen's eyes drifted upward as if she was looking at something far beyond the ceiling. There are patterns in the galaxy, she said. Old patterns, older than your sun. Civilizations rise, civilizations fall. Some fall quickly. Some last a long time, but all fall. Elias listened, trying to understand. The queen's voice lowered. Except yours. Elias blinked. What? He said. The queen's gaze returned to him like a heavy door closing. Humanity should have fallen 3 times in the last century of your calendar, she said. Yet you remain. Fragmented, injured, quarreling, still expanding. Elias felt a strange mix of fear and confusion. How do you know that? He asked before he could stop himself. The queen's mouth did not smile, but her eyes sharpened in a way that felt almost like amusement. Because you were watched, she said. Elias' skin went cold. Watched, he repeated. The queen's wings shifted once, slow and controlled. Do you believe you entered this galaxy unnoticed? She asked. Elias opened his mouth, then closed it again. Of course they had been seen. Humans were not the only ones with telescopes, but to hear it stated so plainly made it feel different, like being named. The queen continued. There are archives in my empire, she said. Records of your first radio signals, your first orbital flights, your first colonies. Your first losses. Her voice became sharper. Your first near extinction. Elias' hands tightened into fists at his sides. He remembered the stories, the early days, the accidents, the conflicts. The horrible moments that had almost ended everything before humanity even left its own system. But hearing an alien queen say it made it feel like a test. We nearly died, Elias said. More than once. Yes, the queen said. And you persisted. Elias took a slow breath. We had to, he said. There was no other choice. The queen's eyes narrowed. Other species had choices, she said. They chose surrender. They chose peace through stillness. They chose to stop reaching. She leaned forward. Humans chose to keep reaching even when reaching hurt you. Elias looked down at the black glass floor. He saw his own reflection, small and pale, standing under a throne that looked like a mountain. He thought about how to explain it in basic words that made sense. Humans are curious, he said. Sometimes too curious. We see a wall and we wonder what's on the other side, even if climbing it breaks our bones. The queen studied him as if she had never heard of curiosity as a survival trait. Curiosity is a weakness, she said. Elias looked up, surprised. It can be, he said, but it can also save you. If you're curious, you find new food, new medicine, new tools, new friends, you learn new ways to live. The queen's claws tapped once against her throne. The sound echoed like a bell. And yet you are not a gentle species, she said. Elias stiffened. We try to be, he said. We don't always succeed. The queen's voice grew colder. My records show your history, she said. Your wars, your cruelty, your selfishness, your mistakes. Elias' face heated with shame and fear at the same time. He wanted to defend humanity. He wanted to admit the truth. He wanted to run. We're not perfect, he said quietly. The queen's eyes burned brighter. Perfection is not what I expected, she said. It is what I assumed other species required to endure. She paused, then spoke the next words with strange weight. And that is why I am furious. Elias' heart jumped. Because we're not perfect, he asked. The queen's wings spread slightly and Elias felt the air tighten again. No, she said, because you endure without it. Elias stared. The queen's voice sharpened like ice cracking. My empire built stability, she said. We built systems that do not fail. We built cities that do not decay. We built laws that do not bend. We removed chaos. She looked down at Elias with something like accusation. And yet, chaos seems to serve you. Elias' mind raced. He tried to imagine what an anti-chaos civilization looked like. Perfect systems, perfect order, no surprises, that sounded safe, but it also sounded fragile. Order is good, Elias said carefully, but if you make everything depend on order, then one crack breaks the whole thing. The queen's eyes narrowed further. Explain. Elias nodded, grateful for a clear command. Humans don't trust one single system, he said. We build backups. We build old-fashioned methods. We keep paper maps even when we have computers. We train people for emergencies even when emergencies are rare. He lifted his hand slightly, showing empty palms, trying to look harmless. We don't believe one thing will always work, he said. So we make many things that can work. If one fails, the others keep us alive. The queen's gaze remained sharp. You waste resources, she said. You accept inefficiency. We accept survival, Elias replied before he could stop himself. The chamber seemed to tighten again, as if the audience reacted to his boldness. Elias instantly regretted his tone, but the queen did not strike him down. Instead, she leaned forward, eyes bright. Say that again, she demanded. Elias swallowed. We accept survival, he repeated more carefully, even if it looks messy. The queen held his gaze as if trying to see inside his skull. Then she spoke, and the sentence landed like a stone dropped into deep water. Do you know what the galaxy calls humanity when you are not listening? Elias hesitated. No, he said. The queen's voice lowered, heavy and clear. They call you the unstable ones. Elias' stomach twisted. That doesn't sound good, he said. It is not meant to be, the queen replied. It is said with fear, with contempt, with confusion, she paused, and with a growing need. Elias' eyes widened. A need, he asked. The queen did not answer immediately. Instead, she raised one claw and the air shimmered. A projection appeared between them, floating like a window made of light. Elias gasped softly. It showed a star system, not human-made. The map style was alien, full of symbols and layers of meaning. But he could understand enough. One world, a ring of stations, a network of lines connecting them. Then the lines began to go dark, one by one. The stations vanished from the map, not destroyed in a burst, not fading slowly, but simply removed, like someone erased them. Elias leaned forward without thinking. "What is that?" he whispered. The Queen's voice was steady now, almost calm. "A civilization that achieved perfect stability," she said. "They removed conflict, removed hunger, removed disease, removed risk. Their worlds were beautiful." The map dimmed further, the last light blinked out. "And then they disappeared," she finished. Elias' throat tightened. "How?" he asked, the Queen's eyes fixed on him. "We do not know," she said. "There were no explosions, no signals, no debris." Their final message was one word. The projection shifted. A single symbol appeared. Then beneath it a translation in simple human language. "Quiet." Elias felt chills across his arms. "Quiet," he repeated. The Queen's claws tightened again. "Species after species," she said. "Perfect systems, perfect order, perfect predictability." Another projection appeared, another vanished, then another. Some lasted longer, some died faster, but the pattern was the same: stability, silence, absence. Elias' mind scrambled for explanations. A weapon, a disease, a cosmic event. But the vanishings didn't look like war. They looked like a rule. The Queen spoke again, and her voice carried the old anger, but now Elias could hear something behind it. Worry. "I do not summon you because I wish to destroy you," she said. "I summon you because my empire approaches a point of stability it has pursued for ages." Elias stared. "You're saying your empire might be next," he said. The Queen's eyes burned. "Yes." Elias felt his legs go weak. He forced himself to stay standing. "Why ask a human?" he whispered. The Queen's voice became sharp. "Because your species does not seek stability," she said. "You seek continuation." Elias shook his head slightly. "We want peace," he said. "We want safe lives." "And yet you never make peace your final shape," the Queen replied. "You argue even when safe. You explore even when comfortable. You change even when stable." Elias opened his mouth, then closed it. He thought about humans complaining when everything was fine. Humans inventing new sports because old ones were boring. Humans refusing to accept good enough. He had always thought it was annoying. Now it sounded like a shield. The Queen's gaze hardened. "I tested your kind," she said. Elias stiffened. "You tested us," he repeated. The Queen's wings shifted. "Pressure," she said. "Trade restrictions, border tensions, resource scarcities that could have been prevented." Elias' eyes widened in shock. "You," he began. "Many species collapse under such strain," the Queen continued, ignoring his reaction. "They become still, they become silent, they become perfect." Her voice rose slightly. "Humans do not." Elias felt anger flare inside him, quick and hot. "So you caused problems for us," he said, "to see what we do." The chamber felt tense. Elias realized too late that he had spoken like an equal. For a heartbeat he thought he would be crushed. But the Queen did not attack. She simply watched him, and that was somehow worse. "Tell me what you did," she said. Elias forced his anger down. He knew this was bigger than pride. "We adapted," he said, voice tight. "We complained, we protested, we argued, then we made new supply routes. We recycled, we grew food in places we never grew food before. We built new engines, we helped each other." He exhaled. "Because we had to." The Queen's eyes flickered, as if some piece of a puzzle clicked into place. "Because you had to," she repeated softly. Then she leaned forward, and Elias felt the weight of her attention pin him like a spotlight. "Human Elias Ward," she said, using his full name like a formal seal. "If I show you what approaches, you may beg to be excused." Elias swallowed hard. "I might," he admitted. The Queen's voice sharpened. "But you will not run," she said. "Your kind does not run the way others do." Elias' hands trembled. He tried to steady them by pressing his fingertips together. "What approaches?" he asked. The Queen lifted her claw again. The air shimmered and the projection changed. This time it was not a star map. It was something else. A black shape, not like a ship, not like a creature, not like any object Elias could recognize. It looked like a tear in reality, a moving absence, a place where the universe forgot to exist. Around it, symbols appeared, shifting too fast to read. But the human translation, simple and clear, settled at the bottom like a verdict. The silence engine, Elia's breath caught. "That's real," he whispered. The queen's eyes burned like distant suns. "It is real," she said. "It does not hate, it does not desire. It simply corrects." Elia stared at the moving absence. "Corrects what?" he asked, voice barely audible. The queen's answer came without hesitation. "Civilizations that become too still," she said, "too certain, too complete." Elias felt the cold truth settle into his bones. It wasn't a villain with a face. It was a cosmic rule with teeth. The queen watched him closely, and when she spoke again, her voice was lower, controlled, dangerous. "I summoned you because the galaxy needs an answer it has never found," she said. Elias swallowed. "What answer?" he asked. The queen's words fell into the chamber like the final step before a cliff. "How to survive the thing that kills perfection," she said. Then she leaned forward until Elias could see shifting patterns within her eyes like storms inside glass. And she asked him the question that made his blood turn to ice. "Can humanity survive what already killed gods?" Elias stood there, shaking, staring at the moving absence on the projection. He wanted to say no. He wanted to say yes, but the only honest answer was something else. He did not know, not yet, and the queen was waiting. Elias could not take his eyes off the projection. The black shape did not move like a ship or a storm. It did not glow or pulse. It simply existed, and that existence felt wrong. Around it, the stars looked dimmer as if they were afraid. He swallowed and forced himself to breathe. "I don't know if we can survive that," Elias said honestly. "Humans aren't gods." The queen watched him closely. There was no anger in her face now. There was focus. "That is precisely why you are here," she said. "Gods built perfection. Gods trusted permanence. Gods are gone." Elias felt a chill. "You're saying being weak might be an advantage," he said slowly. The queen's eyes narrowed. "I am saying that weakness may allow movement," she replied, "and movement may allow survival." She raised one claw and the projection shifted again. New images appeared. Human colonies, human ships, human cities, messy and uneven, full of different designs and colors. "Your species does not agree on anything for long," the queen said. "You argue about laws, about values, about the future. Even when facing danger, you argue." Elias nodded without thinking. "That's true," he said. "We argue a lot." "And yet," the queen continued, "you do not freeze." The images changed. A human station damaged by an accident. Instead of silence, it showed activity. People moving, repairs happening, messages flying in all directions. "You break," the queen said. "But you do not become quiet." Elias felt something shift inside him. Fear was still there, but now it mixed with a strange sense of responsibility. "What do you want from us?" he asked. The queen turned slightly, looking past him, as if she could see the entire galaxy from her throne. "My empire cannot face the silence engine directly," she said. "If we attempt to contain it, our systems will align. If we align, we will stabilize. If we stabilize, we will be corrected." Elias frowned. "So the more organized and perfect you are, the more danger you're in," he said. "Yes," the queen replied. "Order attracts it." Elias let out a slow breath. "That's not great news for most of the galaxy," he said. "No," the queen agreed. She looked back at him. "But humans do not move as one," she said. "You fracture, you disagree, you innovate in parallel. You fail in thousands of different ways at the same time." Elias gave a weak smile. "That sounds like chaos," he said. The queen's gaze sharpened. "It sounds like camouflage," she said. The word hit Elias hard. "You think we can hide from it," he said. "Not hide," the queen corrected. "Confuse." Elias stared at the projection again. The moving absence seemed calm, patient, unstoppable. "It removes patterns," Elias said slowly, thinking out loud. If it looks for stable systems, then maybe unstable systems don't look like targets. The Queen inclined her head slightly. Your species never presents a single pattern, she said. You are noise. Elias had never heard humanity described that way. Noise, not strong, not noble, not superior, just loud, messy, impossible to smooth out. That might be the nicest thing anyone's ever said about us, Elias muttered. The Queen did not react to the joke, but the pressure in the room eased slightly. You will return to your people, she said. You will tell them what you have seen. Elias stiffened. You're letting me go, he asked. Yes, the Queen replied, but you will carry a burden. Elias nodded slowly. I figured, he said. The Queen leaned forward. You will ask them not to unite, she said. Elias blinked. What? You will ask them to remain divided, she continued. Not in hatred, not in war, but in approach, in method, in belief. Elias stared at her. You're asking me to tell humanity to stay messy, he said. Yes, the Queen said. Elias ran a hand through his hair, disbelief mixing with nervous laughter. That might be the easiest and hardest request anyone's ever made, he said. The Queen watched him. Will they listen? She asked. Elias thought about Earth, about arguments, about different nations, cultures, and ideas, about how humans resisted being told what to do, especially by someone powerful. They won't listen because I ask, he said. They'll listen if they understand why, the Queen nodded. Then you must help them understand, she said. Elias hesitated. What happens if we fail? He asked quietly. The Queen's eyes darkened. Then the silence engine will continue, she said. And when it finishes correcting the stable civilizations, it may eventually notice even you. Elias swallowed. So we're buying time, he said. Yes, the Queen replied. Time is the only currency left. The projection faded. The chamber felt emptier without it. Elias stood there feeling the weight of what he had learned pressed down on him. He was not a soldier, not a leader, not even important, but he had been chosen. Why me? He asked suddenly. Why not a general or a scientist or a politician? The Queen's gaze softened just a fraction. Because you fix broken systems, she said. You do not design perfect ones. Elias felt a lump form in his throat. I just keep things running, he said. Exactly, the Queen replied. She raised one claw and the air shimmered again. This time it showed possible futures, some bright, some dark, some chaotic, none were smooth. You will not defeat the silence engine, she said. You will irritate it, delay it, force it to adjust. Elias nodded slowly. Humans are good at being annoying, he said. The Queen's lips curved just barely. Then go, she said, and be very annoying. The floor beneath Elias glowed. He felt a gentle force lift him, not painful, not rough. As he rose, he looked back at the Queen. You were furious when you summoned me, he said. Yes, she replied. Are you still furious? He asked. The Queen watched him as if measuring something invisible. No, she said. Now I am afraid. The admission hit Elias harder than any threat. If a being like her was afraid, then the danger was real beyond anything humans had imagined. The light brightened and the throne chamber vanished. When Elias opened his eyes again, he was back aboard the alien transport. Stars slid past the viewport, calm and uncaring. He sat there for a long time, hands shaking. He thought about how he would explain this to humanity, about how he would tell them that their greatest flaw might be their greatest strength, about how survival did not come from being perfect, but from refusing to stop. The ship turned, setting a course toward human space. Far behind him, unseen and patient, the silence engine continued its slow movement through the galaxy. And for the first time, it was heading toward something that did not know how to be quiet.